So this is part 2 or page 3 of the Algebra Extra Credit Packet. And we're on problem 12, which is an equation that we have to solve. So what you do is you distribute the 3/4, and when you do that, when you multiply the fractions, you go straight across. So you get 3 times 4 for 12, and then 4 times 5 on the bottom for 20, minus, you could make the 2 into 2 over 1, so that you could multiply straight across. 3 times 2 for 6, and 4 times 1 for 4, and that is equal to 3. So now to solve this, you would add 6 over 4 to both sides. So you need a common denominator in order to do this addition, so you could turn 3 into 12 over 4, because 12 divided by 4 is 3. You can always make that move. So now you have 12 over 4 plus 6 over 4. So you've got 12 over 20x equals 18 over 4. And the last step is to divide, and when you divide fractions, you multiply by the reciprocal of the right fraction. So really what you're going to be doing is you're going to be multiplying by 20 over 12. And you could simplify now or at the end, but it's going to be easier to simplify before you actually do the multiplication. So I'm looking diagonally, and I'm seeing that 18 and 12 can both be divided by 6. That would make this a 2 and this a 3. 20 and 4 can both be divided by 4 for 1 and 5. So now when you multiply across, it's much simpler. You have 3 times 5 for 15, then 1 times 2 for 2 on the bottom. So you've got your x value at 15 over 2. Now for the next one, we have to find the dimensions of the figure, and we have this nice rectangle, and we know that the area is 216 square feet. Well, the formula for area is length times width. So we know that 216 equals 12 times 5x minus 7. And you're going to distribute. So now you know that 216 is equal to 60x minus 84. Now it's a two-step equation that we could solve pretty easily, and I'm going to move it down here for more space. So we would add 84 to both sides. So now we've got 300 equals 60x. And when you divide by 60, you get an x value of 5. But that's not what the problem asked us. They asked us to find the dimensions, and we have the width, which is 12. To find the length, all you would do is put your x value in and then solve this. So 5 times 5 is 25. Minus 7 is 18. And you can do a quick check on your work, because now you have the dimensions, so you're going to make sure that 18 times 12 does in fact equal 216. And it does, so that's how you know that you got your work done correctly. So now we've got perimeter, and perimeter is where you add up all the sides. You figure out the distance around the figure. So we know that 7x minus 1 plus 5x minus 1 plus 4x is equal to 48 for our perimeter. So I'm going to combine like terms. I've got 7x and 5x and 4x for 16x. Then I've got a minus 2 equals 48. And this one, again, is a two-step equation. We're going to add 2 to both sides. So we've got that 16x equals 50. So x is 50 over 16. Unfortunately, it doesn't come out evenly. And let's see what they're asking us to do. We're still finding the dimensions, so we have to plug that 50 over 16 in for x. So you've got 5x minus 1. 5 times 50 is 250. Divided by 16 minus 1. So 250 divided by 16, that turns out to be 15 and 5/8. Minus 1 would be 14 and 5/8. If you wanted a decimal, you could call it 14.625 for that side. So that's one of the sides. And now you've got your 4x. So 4 times 50 over 16, which is 200 divided by 16. So you've got 12.5 there. Then your final side, you have 7x minus 1. So you've got 7 times 50 over 16 minus 1. We got to call that 11.5 because of the minus 1. So that's 350 over 16 minus 1. So for that, we've got 21.875 minus 1 would be 20.875. So now I'm going to do a quick check, and I'm going to add my sides up and see if they equal 48. So I've got 20.875 and 14.625 and 11.5. All right, so this is actually going to be 12.5. I did not forget to subtract the 1. So there we go, because that didn't have a minus 1. So that does actually equal 48, and that's how we can check our work. So even though we got a fractional answer, we still get the problem right. And that's the last problem on this page. We're going to go on to page 4. This is page 4 of the Algebra Adult Ed Extra Credit Packet. So now we are substituting 1 for x. So we have 5 times 1 minus 7y equals 12. 5 minus 7y equals 12. And our goal is to solve for y. So this is a two-step equation. So we end up with negative 7y equals 7. And when you divide by negative 7, you get a y value of negative 1. So now we're down to problem 16, and we're evaluating when x is 10. So to take 3/4 of 10, you'd multiply 3/4 times 10 over 1, and you would get 30 over 4 for that left-hand side. So we know 30 over 4 equals negative 9 over 11y plus 12. So this is a two-step equation. Even though it looks more complicated than the last one, it's solved the same way. And you're subtracting 12, and on this side you have a denominator of 4, so you want to rewrite your 12 with a denominator of 4. So really, you're subtracting 48 over 4, because 48 divided by 4 is 12. We have to make the numbers work out with a common denominator. And I'm going to move over here. So we've got negative 18 over 4 equals negative 9 over 11. Y. And the last step is to divide both sides by negative 9 over 11. And when you do that, you're going to flip the right one and multiply. So really, you're multiplying by 11 over negative 9. And you want to simplify diagonally if you can. So 9 goes into 18 twice. So this is a 1, and this is a 2. We also know that a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So I divided both really by negative 2. So now when you multiply across, you have 11 times 2 for 22, and then 1 times 4 for 4 for your y value. In the next couple, you're just answering yes or no about whether the number is actually an answer to the inequality. But first, we have to solve it. So we're subtracting 9 from both sides. So you have 2x is less than I see. It's simpler than that. You only have to put 4 in for x. So we have 2 times 4 plus 9, and we want that value to be less than 16. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 9 less than 16. 8 and 9 is 17. So you're figuring out yes or no whether 17 is less than 16. And it's not. So your answer is no for 16. And 17 is a little trickier. This one's called a compound inequality. So you're putting, again, 3 in for x. So negative 3 is less than 2 times 3, less than or equal to 6. This is 6 in the middle. So what this means is 6 is greater than negative 3 for the left part, and 6 is less than or equal to 6. So that works out because it is equal to 6. So we're going to go with yes for number 17. Now in 18, we finally get to solve and graph. And they've put 0, 0 on the number line for us. So we're going to subtract 5 from both sides. And we get 4x is greater than 20. You're going to divide by 4, and you get x is greater than 5. So there are two parts to this. First, you figure out what kind of dot you need, and you need an open dot because you don't have that line under it. So we're going to call this 5. I'm going to put an open dot. And then an inequality has multiple answers, so this one is red. X is greater than 5. So any number greater than 5 could satisfy this inequality. So we're going to draw our arrow going to the right because the numbers to the right are greater than 5. So that's our answer to this inequality.